This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome everyone to my presentation on cybersecurity, staying safe online. My name is George Dillman, and I'm the Consumer Outreach Specialist with the Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. So, what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is keeping everything you do on the internet safe so that no one can steal your information for their own gain. Why is it important? Whether you use the internet all the time or on occasion, keeping yourself protected is important. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. Safe web browsing, strong passwords, online shopping, social media, and mobile devices. So first we want to start with a clean slate. We want to use the most recent versions of browsers and operating systems. We want to keep our antivirus and other software up to date as well. As these things start to age, they become easier for cyber criminals to figure out, crack the code, crack into, whatever you want to call it. So as these updates are available, we need to utilize them and keep our systems up to date. Sometimes we can set up automatic updates on our device, depending on the device we have, or at the very least, we can set up alerts letting us know that updates are available and that we need to go ahead and do that. All right, safe surfing. Encrypted websites versus unencrypted websites. HTTPS versus HTTP. Traditionally, and I'll come back and explain what I mean by traditionally, but traditionally we go onto a website. Say I go onto my favorite retailer website, bigboxretailer.com, right? Up in the web address, I would see HTTP, traditionally I would see HTTP colon, right? The two dots, / www.bigboxretailer.com. I go on the site, I shop around, I start putting things into my shopping cart, I go to check out. I'm now going on to a page where I'm going to be exchanging personal sensitive information with that site. On that page, I should now see HTTPS. The S stands for secure. That means I now have a secure encrypted connection between me and that company. Sometimes, especially with mobile devices, you'll see that little padlock. Sometimes you'll see both, and of course, it doesn't hurt to have both on there. But whether you see the S or that padlock, we want to find that. That again, that now means that we have a safe, a secure, encrypted connection between us and that company. Now, I say traditionally because more and more companies, more and more retailers, more and more sites.
Potential on the northern side of this during the day tomorrow will become snow in places like Detroit.
Somebody needs to mute their themselves. Thank you. Okay, so now more and more of more and more websites. The minute you're hopping on their site, you're seeing that HTTPS for secure. Companies realized that it was just as easy to make their sites safe and secure the minute you hopped on them, as opposed to waiting until you were exchanging information. So we may see that automatically once we go onto a website. Now, if we go onto a site and we don't see it, no harm, because that if we get to the point where we need to exchange personal sensitive information with someone, then on that page we should see it, although we don't always do, and that's why we point that out. Every so often I'll still go onto a website, and oh god, about a year ago, two restaurant sites that I went on to. I was going to buy gift cards for the holidays, as presents for family members. And when I went to check out to give them my information, I did not see that S for secure. That told me I did not have a secure encrypted connection between me and that restaurant. I got off the site. I didn't want a chance using it and sending my information to somebody. So we want to keep an eye out for that. We want to check the company's privacy policy as well. Privacy policies basically tell us, first of all, what information a company collects from us. And we may want to question why they if they're asking for like personal sensitive information like our social security number, date of birth. But privacy policies will tell us what information a company is going to collect from us, uh, how they're going to keep it, how secure, and most importantly how secure they're going to store that information, how they're going to store that information, and how securely they're going to store that information, and whether they sell that information to third parties or not. So we should be able to find that out in there. And if we find it difficult to find a company's privacy policy, that may be a red flag. Gee, why can't I find their privacy policy? What are they trying to hide, if anything? Now, if a company is deemed to have a good, safe, sound privacy policy, they could get rewarded the trust seal, that little red shield with the check mark on it, deeming it a trusted site. Not always given out for that reason, but many times it is. So the trust seal should say that they do have a nice, sound privacy policy. We should clear our browser history every so often. Check your browser for instructions. Each browser has different ways of doing it. Our browsing history, every site, every page that we go to, there's like a snapshot of that page kept in our browsing history. And if somebody does get into our computing device, there's a lot of information they may be able to steal just by looking at our browsing history. So it's recommended that every so often we go in and clear that out because of that. All right, using Wi-Fi safely. At home, we want to be sure to keep our router secure with a strong password. We don't want to share that password with anybody. That's kind of a no-brainer. No, George, I share my passwords with everybody. People walking down the street. Hey, here's a no. That's not what I'm saying. What I am getting at is that we have to be careful. Even people, sometimes the people closest to us are the ones we have to be the most careful with. I do another presentation on avoiding identity theft, and one thing I point out in that presentation is that sometimes the people who steal our identities are the people closest to us. Family members, friends, co-workers, people who have access to our homes, that type of thing. So bringing it back to this, we want to be careful, really careful with who we share passwords with. We just don't want to share them, you know, I keep all mine to myself. I don't share mine with anybody to be safe that way. In public, using public Wi Fi can be risky. We want to avoid financial and personal transactions. A lot of these free public Wi Fi access sites have little to no security to them. So we really want to be careful. Now, on a later slide, we're going to talk about how we can be a little bit more secure when we're using one of those Wi Fi hotspots. All right, password do's and don'ts. We're going to start with password don'ts. On this page is a password that's still commonly used, no matter how many times we're told not to use it. People that are still out there using this as their password. What is it? It's password or password one. Also, things like QWERTY, which is the top row of keys on the keyboard, ABC 123, sequential numbers. We need to stay away from these easily guessed passwords. Even using things like names, birth dates, or other phrases that could be easily guessed, we want to stay away from. And here's the example that I use. Say I have a cat at home, and my cat's name is Princess Fluffy. And I love my Princess Fluffy. I'm always taking photos of her and posting them to social media, bragging to all 6,000 of my friends about her. And I'm saying friends with the finger quotes because how many of us really have that many friends? A lot of these so-called friends could be cyber criminals looking to steal information from us and other people out there on social media. I hear this all the time. I read it all the time. One of the places we tend to share more personal, sensitive information than anywhere else is on social media. And guess who knows this? Our friendly cyber criminals. So they'll prowl these social media websites looking for information that they can steal and use. They might even try to bait us into giving them this information or some of this information. And again, here's an example that I always use. Somebody reaches out to me on social media. Hey, George, what's your date of birth? I think we might be the same star sign or something. What's your date of birth? And the next time it's your birthday, I want to send you one of those birthday e-cards. Okay, friend, here you go. Here's my date of birth. Now I just gave somebody who I probably really don't know my date of birth. They already have my name. There's a good chance they may have my address. Few more key pieces of information, and they may have enough to steal my identity, use it against me. So we have to be careful. So bringing it back to passwords, the last thing we want to use as our password, or I want to use as my password, is Princess Fluffy 1, because of how many people out there know about her. Down at the bottom, we do not use the same password for multiple accounts. No brainer there. If we use the same password for every one to, and somebody does figure out the password, they have our password for every site that we go to. We want to create a different password for every site that we go to. Write them down someplace or keep track of them somehow. Download a password manager to your device. Password managers will store, track, and even create, or store, manage, and even create strong passwords for us. One thing that we can do, one thing that I'm doing now, is a lot of the sites that I go to, I'll create a password, use it, and then discard that password, get rid of that password, destroy it. I was listening to a radio program about a year or so ago, national radio program, and they were interviewing a gentleman who was a cybersecurity expert, and he suggested that he said you think about the sites that you go to that you don't go to on a regular basis. He said probably a lot of the sites that we go, maybe most of the sites we go to, we don't go too often, maybe every 3 to 6 months. So what maybe with those sites, rather than keeping track of all these passwords, those sites we don't go to on a regular basis, we create the password, use it as long as we need it, and then we know we're not going to go to that site for a while. Destroy the password, and the next time we need to go onto that site, we just create a new password to get into that site. Um, on the next slide, we're going to talk about another reason for doing that. Not only not having to keep track of all of them, but another reason why it would be good to do that, at least with those sites we don't use on a regular basis. All right, password do's. First of all, the longer the better. Experts say that we should have at least 8 to 10 characters. We should be using capital letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and even non-alphanumeric characters like pound signs and exclamation points if we can. We want to change passwords, especially to our most vulnerable accounts, on a regular basis. Our email password may be the most important. As these passwords hang around out there, apparently it gets easier for cyber criminals either to figure them out, crack the code, whatever they do. So it's recommended we change passwords on a regular basis. Going back to that site that I don't go to on a regular basis, maybe every 3 to 6 months. If I'm creating new password every 3 to 6 months for that site, not only do I not have to keep track of it, but then I am changing that password for that site and how many others every 3 to 6 months on a regular basis. So, all right, changing up your password does not have to be complicated. Again, if we want to something that would be easy to remember, something that's easy to remember, we could take that password and change it up to make it more difficult for somebody to figure out. And again, I'm going to use the word the I'm going to use password as an example. You see the person who created the password underneath, the different variation of that. They're using a small p. They're using the at sign rather than an a. It still looks like an a. They're using $2 signs rather, for the S's. They're using a lowercase w, a zero rather than an O. It still looks like an O. Lowercase r, capital D, 2 exclamation points. They're still using password, but they changed it up enough it could be very difficult for somebody to figure out. Bringing it back to Princess Fluffy or Princess Fluffy 1, I could change that up enough that even my 6,000 friends with the finger quotes probably wouldn't be able to figure it out. All right, choosing security questions. First, we want to choose security questions only we would know the answer to, right? We want to stay away from those easily guessed security questions like your mother's maiden name, your favorite pet's name. What's your favorite pet's name? Everyone knows it's Princess Fluffy, right? All 6,000 of my friends. So we want to stay away from those easily guessed security questions. If you can, maybe create your own questions, especially for those sites that we go to and they want you to choose a security question. Yeah, yeah, either choose a security question or create your own. Maybe we could create our own if there's not much choice there for us. If we don't have the choice to create our own, something I've offered as an alternative is maybe, again, especially if we have like, 4 or 5, 6 security questions to choose from and none of them are good, maybe we could create nonsensical answers to commonly asked security questions. Here's the example that I use. Mother's maiden name, Blue Tricycle 28. Whose last name is Blue Tricycle 28? Certainly not my mother's maiden name. So we come up with some nonsensical answer and we just, again, write them down, keep them with our password someplace in case we need to refer to them. And then that way, nobody should be able to figure out, even if we use those easily guessed ones. All right, is that email or text message safe? It may be a phishing or smishing attempt. Do you know the sender? You want to check for grammar and spelling. When in doubt, don't click it, delete it. Phishing for emails, smishing for text messages. I get an email from my local bank, customer service at my local bank. Hello, Mr. Dillman. This is customer service at your bank, yourbank.com. The bank is updating its records, and we're reaching out to all of our customers, asking them to confirm all their information for us. We need you to hit the link below, and once you hit that link, that'll take you to another page where you can confirm all your information for us on page, so to speak. So I want to help my bank out. I hit the link, make sure they have updated information. I hit the link. I go to the other page, and I confirm my name, my address, my telephone number, my social security number, my date of birth, my bank account numbers. How do I really know that that's somebody from my bank reaching out to me? They say they're from my bank. I get emails from my bank. George, I get emails from my bank all the time. The bank's name, the logo, everything is there, the email address. In this day and age, it's very easy to copy and paste and Photoshop things and fake email addresses to make it look like that email came from a trusted source. So in this scenario, we hit that link, went to that page, and gave somebody who we really don't want to give that our personal sensitive information to our personal sensitive information. And maybe by hitting that link, I could be downloading some malicious software to my computing device without even knowing it. That maybe some software that allows that scammer to go into my computer anytime they want, again without me knowing it, and stealing information from it. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful with hitting links, hitting opening attachments, downloading apps. I get a letter from a buddy of mine. My buddy Joe sends me an email. Hey George, I wrote a letter to the electric company, the attached Word document. I wrote a letter to the electric company. Can you just look it over, open it up, look it over, make sure everything looks good? So I want to help my buddy Joe out. I open up the attachment, I review the letter, not knowing that somebody hacked into my buddy's email account, got his entire email contact list, and everybody on the contact list got this letter with the attachment. And again, just like with the link, by opening that attachment without knowing it, downloaded this malicious software to their computing device. So we have to be careful. Links, attachments, apps. I see a pop-up ad on social media, or maybe you get an unsolicited email about this new website, this new retail site called Big John's Big Discounts. Every day, everything 50% off. Come to our site and shop, shop, shop. Oh my God! So I go to the site and I shop. Oh, and once I get to the site, I find out that if I download their app to my computing device, I'm going to get a $200 credit towards my first order. Oh my God, this is going to be great. Everybody's going to have a great holiday. You get great gifts this holiday season from Uncle Georgie. I'll tell you that. So I shop and I put things into my shopping cart and I check out once again, to find out at a later point, there is no Big John's big discounts. It was a fake website set up to collect information from people, and by downloading that app, once again, by downloading that app from this untrust, this source I really shouldn't trust. I don't really know. I could be downloading that malicious software to my computing device. Experts say more than one third of third-party apps that we download to our devices could have malicious software attached to them. So we have to be careful. Have to be careful. Text messages. I mean, same thing. Links. When somebody's trying to get us to go to a link, to hit that link, we have to be very cautious. Uh, with text messages, again, they could pretend to be from a trusted source. What has been popular over the last 3 or 4 years, that the end of year holiday season, what has been popular is people like myself getting messages supposedly from FedEx or UPS or the U.S. Postal Service or Amazon or big box other another big box retailer. And maybe the story goes that something happened with your last order, or we lost your information. We need you to hit the link below, go to this page. We need all of your information again. So I do it again, just like with the email from the bank, only to find out at a later point that it was a fake text message. I gave somebody who all my personal sensitive information who I really didn't want to give that to. And again, by hitting that link, I could be downloading something to my computing device that I don't want to download. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful with the emails and the text messages if we're not sure. I mean, if we pretty much know it's some type of a scam, we could just delete it. Don't worry about clicking on it. But if you're not sure, maybe reach out to that entity with a trusted phone number. We don't want to use the phone number that could be in the email message or the text message, because if it is a scam, we know where those numbers are going to go to. I want to with the bank. I want to reach out to my bank with a verified number, a number that I know is for the bank, to confirm whether they sent me this email or not. I want to reach out to FedEx or UPS or whoever that text message supposedly came from with a trusted verified number to confirm whether they sent me that text message or not. With the fake website, uh, do some research. Let's make sure this is a legitimate site that we can go to and shop before we use it. One thing we could do is Google the name of the company, and after we type in the name of the company, type in scams, complaints, or both, see if anything pops up. Check with the Better Business Bureau. Check on forums. Ask around. We want to make sure that this is a legitimate business before we do anything with it. More on safe emails. Another thing we can do with emails and fake websites, and when I say fake websites, uh, two types of fake websites. We just talked about how somebody creates this new company and starts promoting it to use it to collect information. But scammers will also go out and make copies of actual websites. My favorite big box retail website, bigboxretailer.com. I use them all the time. I'm in their shipping club. I get free shipping on everything. They can make an exact copy. Again, in this day and age, very easy to copy and paste and Photoshop things and fake things like web addresses to make it look like I'm actually on that company's website. And maybe they lure me in by, maybe again I get an email. Maybe I get emails from Big Box Retailer all the time, and I get an email from Big Box Retailer about this great sale in electronics. Hit the link below, go to our website, and shop, shop, shop. So I do that, and again, I give my information to somebody who I don't want to give my information to, and or by hitting that link, could be downloading something to my device I don't want to download. In that situation, it's recommended, rather than hitting some type of link and going to that trusted website. Maybe go directly to that website with the web address that I have, so I know I went to that site. But something else we can do with emails and websites is something called the hovering technique or the touch and hold technique. Hovering, if you still have the mouse with the arrow, you place the arrow over top of the email address or over top of the web address. You don't click on it, you just hover over it with your arrow. When you do that, a box will pop up. The other way is with devices where we don't have a mouse, excuse me, a, a device where we don't have a mouse or an arrow. We touch the email address or the web address. And by touching and holding, that box should pop up. Now, in the email address where it says we got the email from, in the box that pops up, if it didn't come from that source, there'll be a different email address in there. Same thing with the website. I go to the website and I hover over it or I touch and hold, the box pops up, and in the web address where it says that I'm at, in the box that pops up, it'll tell me where I'm actually at. Where I'm actually at. It'll be different from that web address. Now, what we want to look for are not the obvious differences. What we want to look for are those small, slight, subtle differences. And here's the example that I use. I get that email from my bank, customer service at yourbank.com. I either hover or I touch and hold. The box pops up, and in the box it says customer service at yourbank.com. Okay. Oh, wait a second. In the box that popped up, it says customer service at your-bank.com. That one extra thing, that one extra dash is the difference from getting the email from the actual legitimate source or getting that email from somewhere else. So we got to be careful. We got to look for those slight, subtle differences. Same with the website. I go to the website, I hover or I touch and hold, the box pops up, and it says www.bigboxretailer.com. Oh, wait a second. In the box that popped up, box is spelled with a 0 rather than an O. Again, that one slight subtle difference is the difference from being on the actual website or being on another site. So we got to be careful with that. Delete any email that is out of character from a friend. Again, my friend Joe, or check with him. You phone Joe or whoever the friend could be. Phone the companies that you're not sure. Go to links you know. Stay safe. Go to links that we know. We got to be careful. Be very wary of the ones we're not sure about. All right, this is part of an actual email that I received from what, again, I'll call big box retailer. I got this email. At the bottom of the email was this information that's on the screen here. And I looked at this and I thought, boy, this is great information to share with everybody on the cybersecurity presentation. So here it is. And the first paragraph says, big box retailer protects your security and privacy. We will never ask for personal information such as passwords or credit card numbers in an email. If you receive such a request, please do not respond. There's big box retailer telling me and everyone else that if I get an email from them asking for personal sensitive information, it's not them. It's somebody else pretending to be from them. Delete it. I mean, certainly what I would do. So I would obviously wouldn't respond to it, but I think I would reach out to them to let them know somebody's doing this and maybe even forward that email so they can see it. But yeah, they're telling us right there that people will do this. They'll fake emails, to try to collect information from us. It goes on to say, learn more about online safety and see our privacy policy by hitting that link. That alone tells me if they're advertising their privacy policy, that they have a good, sound, strong privacy policy and etiquette, if you will. And I did check it out and of course back that up. So right there, that tells you they do have a good, sound privacy policy because they're advertising it. And then finally at the bottom is the date. Why is the date important? What I found out, I did a little research and I didn't have to go far to find out the date at the bottom of a website or in this case, an email, but the bottom of a website is the last time that website, maybe database, website, and probably including security to that site was updated. So if you see an older date in there, you want to be careful. Now, I originally made the slide was changed, but I originally created this slide back in 2021, so it was up to date at that time. But if we look check out that date and it's an older date, we want to be very careful. Um, I went on a site, oh God, in 2021, and I went down and looked at the date on their site, and the last date on there, the last time they updated their site, probably including security of that site, was 2016, 5 years prior. I got off the site. I wasn't going to do anything with that site. Um, Things can change. I mentioned how many slides ago that we need to keep our devices up to date with security. They need to do the same thing. Companies need to do the same thing. And if they're not doing that, how many of these companies could be, getting hacked into and information stolen? So check out that date too. That could be very important when it comes to security. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about some top internet scams that are out there. We already talked about fake websites, right? We talked about the ones that they're totally created, totally new, just to try to collect information, or the ones that look like actual websites we go to. And we talked about why romance scams. Um, I read two articles that said the top money making scam in 5 states in this country, including the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is the romance scam. And whether it's us or somebody that we know, at the very least, there's somebody out there we know that are using these dating sites and dating apps now to find love. And we have to make sure that they're aware of this, that there are scammers out there prowling these sites looking for victims, so to speak. You go to a site, you build a profile. It doesn't take long. Somebody reaches out to you, and oh my God, our profiles are like a perfect match. It you like this, I like this. You like that, I like that. Big red flag with the scam, by the way. The person reaching out is never right down the street or in the next town, over, or even 2 towns over, where you could go meet them someplace halfway between, maybe at the Carlisle Diner where I go to all the time, or someplace halfway in between. You can have a cup of coffee, have a chat. Now, the person in the scam who's reaching out is always in another state, or what's popular now is they're in another country. Um, they're doing they're working on a government contract overseas for the next 6 or 8 months, but then they're coming back to be there with their new romantic partner. Or they're doing volunteer work overseas for the next 6 to 8 months, or they're in the military overseas. There's a reason they're overseas or out of state, but they're going to be coming back 6, 8 months. They're going to be coming back. When they come back, they want to be with their new romantic partner. Yeah. So as quickly as they can, they try to get the victim onto a less public platform. Hey, let's exchange personal emails or personal text or messages or phone calls and get off this platform. They want to stay under the radar, so they try to get you on a more private platform that way. After a few exchanges, they fall madly in love with the person. Oh my God, you're the person I've been looking for my whole life. When I come home, we're going to be together. We're going to get married and be together the rest of our lives. And they get the person to fall in love with them too, or they're now in a romantic connection. It's not long after that the emergency happens. They need money, and as their new romantic partner, you're the only one that can help them. So they get you. And by the way, this scam is a good example of a reload scam, because they get the person to fall for it. The victim, as I'll call the other person, will send them the money that they need, and then it's not long later they need more money. There's another emergency, but there's probably a promise that, don't worry, when I'm back home and we're together, I'll pay you that money back and we'll be together and blah blah blah. At reload scams, they'll just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. I equate reload scams to somebody. The analogy I use is somebody who likes to fish. Right? Say I like to fish. I go out and I find myself a good fishing hole. I catch a lot of fish. Next time I want to fish, where do I go? I go back to the same fishing hole, right? And I keep going back until they stop biting or it's all fished out. Bringing it back to the scam, scammers will keep coming back until we realize that it's a scam and we stop sending money, or in some cases, we're all fished out. People who have lost their entire life savings to this scam and other reload scams because they know one day, they're going to be together with their partner, and they're going to be married, and they're going to get all this money back, and so on and so forth. So we got to be careful. Again, if it's not us using the dating sites, probably it could be people that we know. We need to spread the word, so to speak, on that. Tech support. Um, I believe it started out with the Microsoft Office scam, but now there's other scams that are running with tech support. I see a pop-up ad, or I get an unsolicited email, computer running slow, you having problems with your computer, do you have viruses? Maybe I get a phone call, the Microsoft Office one, I get a phone call supposedly from a Microsoft Office representative. I have all these viruses on my computer, and as a representative from Microsoft, they're here to help for a fee. I pay them a fee, an upfront fee. I give them access to my computer. They'll go in and eliminate all these viruses for me. So I fall for it. I pay the fee. I give them the access, and I see my mouse go, and there's my arrow up there, and I see it moving without me touching because they now have control of my computer. They pull up this box with all these viruses in, and they start taking my arrow and clicking these viruses, eliminating these viruses. It's a fake box with fake viruses. Best case scenario is they're charging you a fee for something they're really not doing. Worst case scenario, because they now have control of your computer, access to your computer, they could be in there stealing things off your computer while you're looking at them clicking all these viruses, and or planning some malicious software so they can go in at a later point to steal information off your computer without you knowing about it. So we got to be careful. If we need tech support, we need to reach out to somebody again that's, of course, it's verified, that's trusted, that we maybe do some research on, that we know is legit. We don't wait for people to reach out to us. Finally, the phony job opportunities. A couple different scams. In fact, there's probably more than the two that I'm going to use as examples. But the one is also called the overpayment scam, or the phony check scam. I'm looking for work. Somebody reaches out to me, they saw my resume on a job board, and I'm the candidate they want. They might do a quick interview, ask me some basic questions, and yeah, we want to hire you. We're going to set you up. You're going to work from home. We're going to set you up with a home office. We're sending you a check for the money, with the money that you need to set yourself up in a home office. What we need you to do once you get that check is deposit it, and we need you to forward part of that check to another. And they give you some reason why you need to forward part of that check elsewhere, as part of that whole transaction. So the person does it. Hey, I'm working. I got this great job. It's one of these pie in the sky jobs. It's too good to be true because it isn't true. It's a fake job. And they get the check, they deposit the check, and they forward that money back. That part of that check back they need to forward right away. They do that, and then a week or so later, when the check doesn't clear because it's a fake check, they're now out 500, 600, whatever amount they can take from them. That's one way with the phony job opportunities. Another way is collecting your information, right? They reach out to me. Again, maybe I do the quick interview. They want to hire me. They need to get me on board. They need to set me up with, maybe even they might even transfer me to somebody else in HR, in payroll, in HR, with the finger quotes. And I need to give them all my information to get set up. And I'm going to have direct deposit. And I give them my name, my address, my date of birth, telephone number, social security. And so everything they need to stay. And again, there is no legitimate job. It was all fake. So we have to be careful. Have to be careful with phony job opportunities for any of us that are out looking for work. All right, moving on to investment scams. Top online investment scams. Pump and dump scams. Cryptocurrency offerings and promissory note scams. We're going to look at each one of these individually. Promissory notes are basically like glorified IOU notes. Um, Promissory notes aren't you know big red flag when they're being offered to the general public, average schmoes like me. Okay, it promissory note basically is a written promise to repay a defined amount of money at a certain time with a high rate of interest, of course. Basically, it's an IOU with interest defined in the contract, and you might even fill out a contract. And this is what I'm giving you. This is what I'm getting back as an investor in this with this promissory note. Bottom line, real promissory notes are only offered to, and I hate this word sophisticated. I you know, not to down, but basically, I'm going to say institutional commercial investors. They're generally not offered to the general public. There's another big red flag. If somebody comes to me with a promissory note and someone, there's a big red flag because they're usually not offered to the average Joes like me. How do we protect ourselves against that? Real promissory notes are not normally sold to the general public. Verify the investment is registered on the SEC's database or by calling our toll-free number 800 PA Banks, talking to one of our representatives. We'll talk more about how you can reach out to us at the end of the presentation. The seller of the promissory note must be registered. Verify their registration at www.brokercheck.finra.org or through the SEC's website. Pump and dumps. False information about a stock. There's a buying frenzy, pumps up the price of the stock. Fraudsters sell or dump shares at inflated prices. Maybe I get an unsolicited email from somebody about this great stock that I need to invest in, or I'm on social media, big on social media now. In fact, there was a ring that was just busted. 4, 5, 6 guys. They all were on social media, and they were coming across as these experts in investments, investing in stocks, and they even had podcasts, and they had followings, and they came on each other's podcasts as experts on investing, and the whole idea was to get you to buy into the latest stock that they bought, and they wanted to get a high price for it. What happens is some the scammer or scammers, like in this scenario, go out and they buy some cheap, worthless penny stock. They buy a whole boatload of this stock. And then they start promoting this stock as if it's the next greatest thing to come along since sliced bread or the invention of the wheel or the invention of Amazon or whatever. This is going to go through the roof. You got to get in on this. Again, they were social media and with their following, getting this out to their following. Hey, this is the next great stock that you have to get in on. And my expert, John Jones here, says this is the next. And people would buy into this. People start buying into this. They start buying the stock. What happens to the stock price? It goes up. It gets to a certain point. The scammers cash in for a whole boatload of money, and they cash in, they stop promoting the stock, and what happens to the stock price? It comes tumbling right back down to where it was, and a lot of people lose a lot of money because of it. So we got to be careful with the pump and dumps. Again, becoming more popular on social media, or again, maybe we get some unsolicited emails. I used to get faxes at an old agency I worked at. I'd get like 5, 6, 7, 8 faxes a week on the next greatest stock that you had to invest in. So you got to be careful. Got to be careful with that. Cryptocurrency scams, couple different ways, and you see the examples at the bottom of the screen there. Not going to go into them. You see the examples at the bottom of the screen. Uh, Legitimate businesses do not demand payment in cryptocurrency in advance. Uh, Again, somebody's trying to, and the one example there on the left is blackmail. Somebody's trying to extort money from, and this is how they want you to send it through with cryptocurrency. Only scam artists guarantee profits or big returns. Again, this might be the other thing. It's you doing this as an investment. Online dating and cryptocurrency investment advice do not go together. This is the other thing with the romance scams. Um, they're turning the dating sites now into, they're making these connections with people, and they're building these relationships. The next thing you know, they're advising them on investing and saying, hey, I can make a great deal of money for you for our future. Send me $5,000 in cryptocurrency and we'll get this thing. So we got to be careful with the cryptocurrency scams. Again, you see the examples at the bottom. Once this is gone, once it leaves my hand, no matter what form it's in, it could be gone forever. All right, investigate before you invest. Find out, whoever it is, if they're registered. Um, if somebody's a legitimate financial professional, they're going to be registered. They're going to be, as I like to say, they're going to be licensed and legit. So make sure they are. And one way we can do that is through BrokerCheck. BrokerCheck.finra.org. BrokerCheck is overseen by FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, and we can use this as a way, first of all, to make sure somebody is licensed, but also to maybe if we're looking for somebody in our own area, we can find somebody local, but we can make sure that we can see how long they've been in business. Do they have any complaints about them and out there? A whole history on these financial professionals, to make sure. A lot of times when we see these scams like these Ponzi schemes, the person operating it as a financial professional with the finger quotes is not registered. So if they're not registered, big red flag. Social media was a gold mine for scammers in 2021. More than 95,000 people reported about 770 million in losses to fraud initiated on social media platforms in 2021. These losses account for about 25% of all reported losses to fraud in 2021 and represent a stunning 18-fold increase over 2017 reported losses. They're just continuing to grow. Yeah, social media now is becoming the platform for scammers to reach out to try to take our funds from us. So we got to be careful. Got to be careful. Moving on to social media. This is our segue into social media. Uh, it's big and it's here to stay. I think, as most of us know, staying safe while posting, liking, or sharing. Don't accept every friend request. Do any of us really need 6,000 friends? As I said, sometimes or a lot of times, these people that are friending us are scammers looking to try and take information from us. As I mentioned earlier, one of the places we tend to share more personal, sensitive information than anywhere else is through social media. So we have to be careful. Don't trust everything you see. Consider the personal things you share on each platform, and also, and once it's out there, it could be difficult to get it back. So we got to be careful. But be careful with what we put out there, because we might not be able to get it back. It could come back to bite us, so to speak. Continuing on this, think twice before downloading extras. We talked about that, the things that we could download and the things we don't want to be downloading, some type of malicious software to our devices. Keep personal information personal. Limit who can see your social media pages. Moving on to mobile devices. More than 65% of Americans own a smartphone. Right here, here's mine, right? Whether we realize it or not, these things are computing devices. These smartphones are computing devices. We need to treat them as such. We need to lock them, so you need some type of a PIN or a passcode to access them. Um, and we need to keep them updated like our other devices. We need to keep the software, the security updated just like our other computing devices. Never text personal information. Consider what you keep, and if you do, back it up either onto the cloud or another device. Be careful with applications. We talked about applications earlier. As I said, more than one third of third party apps that we download, the apps that we're not really sure about, not from the trusted sources, more than one third of them have malicious software attached to them, according to the experts. Using unsecured Wi-Fi enables secure or encrypted connections. Some sites, maybe a lot of sites now, You go onto the site, you're at a free Wi-Fi hotspot, you go onto the site and you don't see that S right away. You could go somewhere on the site, probably different sites, different places to find it, but somewhere on the site you may be able to make that site safe and secure the minute you hop on it, secure encrypted. Also, uh, VPNs, virtual private networks. We can now download them to our devices. VPNs, virtual private networks, make everything secure, everything encrypted and secure. That you're exchanging back and forth between you and another source. So security there. There's different types of VP. There's different companies out there, different things that you can offer. Certainly shop around for the one that fits best for you. There is charges for them. Charges don't seem to be a lot. I've seen like $1.99, $2.99 a month for them. So maybe not for everybody, but maybe somebody who likes to use those free Wi-Fi hotspots a lot, maybe a good thing to have. Wipe your device before getting a new one. No matter how many times we delete things, we empty trash cans. Apparently, everything that we do, everything that we've ever exchanged and done, is kept somewhere on that computing device, someplace compressed, someplace on that device. And say I'm exchanging my smartphone for a new smartphone. If I don't have have that phone wiped before I trade it in, and the wrong person gets a hold of it and knows where to find that info, there's a lot they can take and use. So we need to have them wiped. If we're savvy enough, we could do it ourselves. Somewhere on our devices, there might be something that says like reset to factory settings. Different devices may have it set up different ways. That should be able to do it. Of course, we want to make sure our information is backed up. There may be one or two other steps we need to do. And if we're not savvy enough, I'm one of those people, by the way, we may want to have somebody else do it. We could take it to somebody who can wipe our device before we hand it in. All right, the Commonwealth Cybersecurity Resource website. This was set up by several agencies within the Commonwealth. A lot of good information on this website. Check it out. Notice the HTTPS for secure. The website is https:// www.pa.gov/guide/cybersecurity. By the way, this is a good point to note that contact information I have in the presentation. I will make sure to get a copy of this. It'll be a PDF version of the presentation to Nick. He can make that available to anybody who would like a copy, especially for the contact information, such as this website. All right, if you become a victim, I'm going to give you a scenario. First of all, if we're not checking our credit reports at least once a year, we need to be checking our credit reports. At least once a year with the three main credit reporting bureaus, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. One surefire way of knowing whether somebody is using our has stolen our ID and is using it or not, because it should be showing up on those reports. Now I'm going to give you the scenario. I check my credit reports. And in the last 2 months, somebody opened there were two credit cards opened in my name that I know I didn't do. There was a loan taken out in my name that I didn't do. There was a car purchased in my name and a car loan that I know I didn't. All this stuff happening that I didn't do. Somebody must have stolen my ID and they're using it against me. What do I need to do? First thing I need to do is to reach out to those three main credit reporting bureaus and report it to them for at least two reasons. First of all, I let them know. I let them know that what they're going to do is that stuff that's on my credit report that I did not put on there. They're going to take that off. They're going to investigate it. May take a while, maybe 3 or 4 months, but what they're doing is confirming that somebody else did do this, that I didn't do it, somebody else did do it, and they confirm that, and that information should stay permanently off of my credit report. And by doing that, they may even be able to track down the person who did it. The other reason I reach out to them is because through those three main credit reporting bureaus, I'm going to freeze all my accounts. I'm going to do a credit freeze on all my accounts. It's free and it's easy to do. That way, no new activity can take place while those accounts are frozen. I can't even do anything, but that's okay because now I can take a step back, take a deep breath, and follow through with reporting identity theft. The other thing I want to do, maybe the next thing I want to do, is to reach out to all those companies where the compromise took place and work with their fraud departments to clear my name of this. To get this thing taken, to close those accounts. I reach out to the two credit card companies, cancel those cards, the loan companies, and I clear my name of it because I did not do it. Again, working with their fraud department. I'm going to report it. I'm going to file a police report. I'm going to reach out to the local police, file a police report, and I want to get a copy of that report and the police report number. I want to keep that report handy someplace, an official report from the police department. Hey, not on him, on somebody else. And I have it available in case somebody needs to see it. I'm going to keep notes, take a notebook, of everything that takes place. Keep those notes with the police report in case I need to refer back to it. Report it to the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office. Report it to them. I'll have their contact information at the end. Same thing with the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, identitytheft.gov. I'm sorry, identitytheft.com, which is overseen by the Federal Trade Commission. It's a site that you can go to report identity theft. It's a great walkthrough site for reporting identity theft and to start a recovery process. It's like a checkoff sheet for everything that we need to do. And as we're doing that, that's creating another report that we want to get a copy of, and we want to keep handy with the other report in case we need to refer back to it. We have that handy. All right, in the home stretch here. Resources, state resources, Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. Our agency regulates those industries in the Commonwealth. If anyone ever has a question, a problem, an issue as it relates to any of those things, they can reach out to us. Our toll-free number is 800 PA Banks or 722-2657. We have an in-house staff that will take phone calls Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. You call during those times, those days and times, you should get a live voice answering the phone. If you don't get a live voice answering the phone, you leave a message and somebody should get back to you within 24 business hours. Check out our website, dobbs.pa.gov. A lot of good information for consumers related to what we regulate on our website. Pennsylvania's Attorney General's office. If you again to report, to report identity theft, or just check out their website. A lot of good information for consumers on their website at attorneygeneral.gov. Their toll-free number 800-441-2555. You need to reach out to local police. You don't know how to have the number. You can go to policelocator.com/PA to look up your local police department. Federal resources, the Federal Trade Commission, 877-987-3728 for identity theft, or you can go to their website, www.ftc.gov/ID theft or identitytheft.gov. Internet Crime Complaint Center, www.ic3.gov, and the Securities and Exchange Commission at www.investor.gov. Questions, and here is my contact information. Anybody who would like to reach out to me, my email address and my phone number. And with that, for recording purposes, we've come to the end of the presentation. I'll thank everybody who's watched.